How are you feeling about the election?
I'm going for Trump. I feel like every time they don't want somebody who is good for us to win, they throw somebody black in our face thinking that's going to like make us vote for the black person.
I voted for Obama because he was black. I don't want to vote for her because she's the first black woman to run for president or to win.
I don't vote.
Well, I want Donald Trump. I'm sorry. I want Donald Trump.
Why do you apologize?
Well, I know nobody likes him, but we had good times with Donald Trump.
I'm running for Trump, so.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why?
Yeah. I don't know. I just always been a fan of his, so that's what I'm running for.
I used to be against Trump. I used to live in Virginia. I saw the bad side of it, but really moving to Cleveland, I saw the other side of it.
I'm supporting Trump.
You are. Because?
Because it has to change.
Yeah.
It has to change, and now I vote more for what fits me better as a person rather than voting for the black person or voting for the first woman. So
What do you think about Kamala Harris?
I think they say she phony and fake, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, I'm like Trump saying, you know, what are you, you know? So I'm not feeling her. People get mad about it, I'm just not feeling her.
I don't like her the way she speaks, the giddiness, the laughing. Everything's a joke, and it's not a joke. We're in trouble.
I'm going for Trump. Kamala was on Biden's team, and I don't like Biden. Gas wasn't this high when Trump was our president. Food wasn't this high. I'm going for Trump.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about this interview between Don Lemon and Jen Psaki, okay? And in this interview, Don Lemon is going to give Jen Psaki a brutal reality check after he traveled across the country during the DNC, before the DNC, asking people about Trump versus Kamala, right? What they think, okay? A lot of people didn't seem to know who Don Lemon was. Okay, because now, I mean, he's a YouTuber, right? He's not even a journalist anymore. I don't know if he ever was a journalist. Maybe he was a journalist when he was talking about how black people need to pull their pants up, right? And to be better, okay, when he was parroting Bill O'Reilly. Maybe that's when he was a journalist, okay? But yeah, he's not a journalist anymore. He's a Democrat Party propagandist turned influencer on YouTube. And he's going to go to Jen Psaki's show, who's also not a journalist. She's a Democrat Party propagandist. And she's going to be stunned after Don Lemon tells her that, yeah, a lot of black people actually like Trump. They feel like Trump is on their side, right? The side of black people. And they don't really know who Kamala Harris is, right? A lot of people don't know who she is. So without further ado, let's get into this.
Ask you about your trip traveling across the country, because you were traveling across the country on the way to Chicago where you were, and we'll talk about that too. You interviewed a lot of people.
I did.
What are some of the things or trends that surprised you about some of those conversations?
Well, I don't know if it was surprising, but it was certainly eye-opening to hear so many people, even people of color and women, saying that they are going to support Donald Trump. I'm not quite sure that the polls are accurate as it relates to the tightening of the polls and who's going to support whom.
Wow, that says a lot. That says a whole lot. Why do I say that? Well, the reason why I say that is because the polls really don't make sense, right? And I know a lot of people in the comments say, oh, all the polls are fake, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm not saying they're not, okay? But what we do know is that before Kamala Harris was installed via coup, she was one of the most unpopular vice presidents ever, right? I mean, she was more unpopular than Dick Cheney, which is a hard thing to do, okay? She was so unpopular that she couldn't even get any type of momentum in the Democrat primary. Even among her fellow communists, right? They didn't like her. So for her to go from that to this superstar overnight, I mean, like literally overnight, because of the mainstream liberal media, it tells you everything you need to know. Like, this is not organic, right? This is artificial. And who knows, maybe these polls could be finagled in a way to try to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is what the Democrats do, right? This is what they did with Joe Biden. Right, the mainstream liberal media, once they actually started to cover Joe Biden after the debate, when he essentially exposed himself on the world stage as mentally declining, that's when his poll numbers started to fall, okay? And it created this perception that, hey, Joe Biden can't win, and that's what led to him dropping out. Now the reverse is happening with Kamala Harris, where they're trying to prop her up as some type of savior and that she's amazing and that everybody loves her, even though we know that's not the case. She hasn't done any interviews. She hasn't articulated any real policies outside of flip-flopping, okay, still in Trump's policies, some communism thrown in there. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for her to be surging the way that she is outside of inorganic support coming from the media. But that doesn't necessarily translate to support on the ground. And I think that is what Don Lemon experienced. And I think it really says a lot that Don Lemon is saying, well, I'm not sure if the polls are accurate just based off me talking to random people on the street. And Don Lemon was in some pretty blue areas, okay? He wasn't in, ruby red America. No. He was in some blue areas, and he's saying, I'm not sure if the polls are accurate in regards to Kamala Harris's support. That says a lot, a whole lot.
And right-wing media, when I released my content, they said, oh, Don Lemon was shocked or Don Lemon was surprised at the answers that he got. But there were a lot of black men, Jen, who said that they were supporting Donald Trump simply because he gave them a stimulus check. He gave them $1,200 back when he was president. They did not somehow remember that the current president also gave them a stimulus check, except that his name wasn't on it. So I had to remind them time after time that the check did not come from Donald Trump, that it came from a Democratic Congress, and he actually slowed it up in order to have his name on the check. So when they got the check and his name was on it, they automatically thought that it came directly from Donald Trump, which I think is good marketing. It's the same as he does for buildings around the country, especially in New York. He doesn't actually own them, but he puts his name on them, and it makes people think that he owns them, and it actually makes them think that he is richer and bigger and more benevolent than he is.
Now, here's the thing, right? I'm not surprised in regards to Don Lemon saying that there are a lot of black men that are supporting Trump because of stimulus checks. Because I've said this time and time again, right? The easiest way to get a black person's vote is to give them some money. Hey, we're going to give you some money, and they'll line up and vote for you, right? I mean, that is what the Democrats do. Okay, except they actually don't really do that, right? But looking back at it, the stimulus checks are neither here nor there for me, okay? And what happened during the pandemic, especially 2020 when it first happened, I try not to judge anybody too harshly for it because ultimately nobody really knew, okay, in regards to how COVID would actually impact this country. And, for the most part, the politicians took a cautionary approach, a reckless approach when it comes to spending, but cautionary in regards to trying to make sure that the economy doesn't completely tank because people weren't working, right? People were being forced out of work due to nobody knowing what was going to happen during this pandemic. But see, what I find to be fascinating about this is that, these people, they get upset with black folks who are saying, well, I want to support Trump because of stimulus checks or whatever. And they say, no. Trump doesn't deserve credit for that. That was the Democrats. Okay, so when we talk about inflation and whose fault it was that inflation happened, according to the leftist logic, okay, Trump takes no blame whatsoever for the inflation because it was the Democrats. It was the Democrats who were responsible for the legislation that was passed in 2020. They're responsible for the legislation that was passed in 2021. So all these stimulus packages, along with the lockdowns that Democrats supported, by the way, hey, according to them, Trump, he doesn't have anything to do with that, right? He doesn't have anything to do with the stimulus checks and all the spending that happened during the pandemic. So I'm glad they're saying that because, again, that means that you can't blame Trump for inflation. Inflation is 100% the Democrats' fault, right? Again, according to this logic from the left, because these people are so desperate to tell these black folks that are voting for Trump based off their perception that he gave them a handout. No. It wasn't Trump. It was Democrats that gave you the handout. Even though the handouts were part of the reason why we're in this situation right now, we're paying for it, right, through inflation. And this is especially true when you look at what Democrats did in 2021 because they kept giving out handouts to corporate America as well, too. Let's throw that in there, right? There was a whole lot of corporate socialism, too. They kept doing that despite the fact that we didn't need it anymore, right? We should have been opening up. Okay, and the data was suggesting that the 2021 economy was going to be fine, right? Because of the past stimulus packages, it was going to be good. We didn't need another stimulus package. We didn't need more lockdowns. We need to start opening back up. Democrats chose to do the exact opposite of what we should have done when they were in power. And this is why you have the situation that we're in right now, okay? They really overdid it.
Was there anything, what did they think about Harris? Did they have anything to say about her?
They did have, listen, it depends on where you are. We went to a number of different battleground states in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We were in Michigan, Indiana, on our way, obviously, Illinois on our way to Chicago. And it sort of depended on where you were. Pennsylvania, well, I shouldn't say Pennsylvania, I should say Philadelphia, was a bit more liberal, and the answers to the questions about her and him were quite different. But for the most part, in Pittsburgh or in at the Jersey Shore and in Atlantic City, in Ohio especially, many people did not know who she was. Right?
Wow.
They weren't familiar with her. So I think she has to reintroduce herself to the public. But for him, I think that they thought that he's better for the economy. And that, again, that he gave them, that he brought money into the community, and that, or that he was on black people's side. And so, listen, I wasn't surprised by that. I've been doing this long enough to know that you never know where people are going to fall, how they're going to vote. That's their own personal prerogative. But I think it's important for them to understand and to go into the voting booth with some knowledge, that they're informed as an electorate. And for all the reasons that they were telling me, the information was all false.
Well, here's the thing, Don. Here's the thing. If the voters feel like the economy was better under Trump, that's not false, right? That's true. The economy was better under Trump, right? It was better. That's just objectively true. But if you feel like they're uninformed, okay, then whose fault is that? That's Kamala Harris's fault, because she refuses to do any interviews, right? She refuses to talk to anybody or to actually inform people about who she is. And this is why I believe that this whole strategy of Kamala Harris hiding from the media, if she spams it for too long, it's going to backfire. She cannot just walk into the White House while hiding from the media for 100+ days. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, people are not going to know who she is, right? They're going to be like, who is Kamala Harris? I don't know who she is. And there are some people that will unfortunately line up to vote for somebody that they don't even know about at all. But I think for the most part, that's not something that's going to work. It's not going to work. But contrary to what Donna Lemonade is suggesting here, which is that people who are supporting Trump are uninformed, if you're supporting Kamala Harris, you by definition are uninformed and ignorant, right? Because again, she has not come out and did any interviews to tell us what she believes or what she really wants to do. So you have to be uninformed in order to vote for Kamala Harris. Again, that's the funny part about all this.
And they didn't understand the correct reasons why they might vote for him.
Yeah, it's a reminder. I mean, you've called Donald Trump a racist on television. You're talking to all these people out there. You still feel that way?
Yes, I think I was the first person to finally say it, and I think I was the first person to say that he was lying because people were afraid to say it. And I said, why don't we just call it what it is? Why don't we call it a lie? Why don't we call it racism? And I wasn't just saying it because it was an opinion. Anytime I said,
well, it is an opinion. That is your opinion, right? Again, this is what I'm talking about in regards to these journalists. Okay, so-called journalists trying to present their opinion as if it's fact. This is what he's about to do. He's literally about to do what I've been telling you guys over the past few weeks is what really annoys me about these people, which is that they try to take their opinion and they try to weaponize their title as journalists to say, oh, no, well, it's just fact, right? It is a fact that Trump is a racist.
It's something like that on television. I backed it up with facts, and I gave people examples of the reasons that I was saying those things. Of course, I think he's racist. All you have to do is look at his rhetoric. All you have to do is look at his track record.
Amazing. You know, I wonder if Don Lemon thinks that Joe Biden's a racist, right? I would love to ask Don Lemon, hey, do you think the guy that gave a eulogy for a Klansman who was his mentor, do you think that he's a racist, right? Do you think that guy that was against busing and integration, do you think that he's a racist? Do you think that guy that told Charlamagne the God, if you don't know if you're going to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't black? Do you think that he's a racist? Do you think that the guy that told black folks back during the 2012 election that Mitt Romney's going to put you back in chains, do you think that he's a racist? Right? Again, it's just funny how that works. Don Lemon does not ever weaponize his title as journalist to smear Joe Biden as a racist, but he'll do it for Trump. Again, it's amazing how that works. This is the same guy that claims that I'm not on the left or the right. I'm independent. No, Don. You're a far leftist, right? That's what you are. You're a far leftist.
And anyone can see that. Go on.
No, keep going.
So, I mean, anyone can see that. And so I don't think that was odd or something that was bold. So I do think that he's racist. Is it surprising to me that so many African Americans are supporting him? A bit, but I also think that people tend to romanticize the past. And even though by most metrics, the economy is doing better and it's on fire, what people do is they vote with prices. They vote with their wallet. Wow. So maybe the economy is better. Both can be true. The economy can be better, but prices are higher and people have less money and they have less resources to put towards those high prices and to feed their families. So
if by most metrics the economy is better, then how does it make sense that people have less money to feed themselves, to afford the necessity? Like, how does that mean that the economy is better, right? Doesn't that tell you that maybe the metrics are wrong, okay? Or that these metrics that Don Lemon is referring to, which he doesn't really refer to any metrics specifically, maybe these metrics don't actually really tell the full story about how the American people are doing. Because, for example, I can give you a ton of metrics about how the savings rate for the average American household is historically low right now. It's around 3%. When you have high interest rates, which are supposed to incentivize Americans to save, but Americans apparently are doing so bad in regards to being able to feed themselves and to afford the necessities because of inflation that they can't save, even though there's a strong incentive to save money. And you know this because not only are the savings rates abysmal, but you also have more consumer debt than we've ever had, right? So people are borrowing money just to survive and to get by, right? But according to Don Lemon, most metrics, the economy's on fire, right? And I guarantee the only thing that he would be able to cite is the jobs reports that the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out and said, oh, well, they were fake, right? The 2023 jobs, Biden did not create as many jobs as we claimed, okay? I mean, hundreds of thousands of jobs, almost 1 million jobs wiped away, right? That was supposed to be created. And the jobs that Biden created are mostly government jobs, okay? Government spending, which contributes to inflation, okay? Healthcare, which is also government spending, and hospitality, which is low quality. So that's the reason why you have a disconnect between the so-called statistics, right, that say that the economy is amazing, it's on fire, versus how people are actually feeling. It's because these statistics that Don Lemon is not really citing here for whatever reason, they're not accurate. They're either not accurate or they don't tell the full story, right? You're selectively using statistics to push a narrative that's not aligned with reality. And then lo and behold, you get people shocked that, wait, most regular normal people don't know who Kamala Harris is and they feel like Trump's economy was better, right? Well, again, the reason why they feel that way is because under these statistics that do matter, that do tell the full story, Trump's economy was better, okay? A lot better than what is happening right now. But, you know, people like Don Lemon feels like because he has a little journalism degree that he's the arbiter of truth and that everybody else is ignorant except the elitists, the out of touch elitists at MSNBC. It's an elitist bubble. These people are extremely out of touch.
So, you know, we talk a lot about low information voters. I like to call them low partisan information voters because many of the people I spoke to were not sitting in front of a television every single day and every single night, following every micro breaking news development about Donald Trump and about what's happening in politics. But they were quite aware of what they were doing for their families, how much or how little money they had in their pockets. And I think that they vote on that and not necessarily, you know, what they see on television. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, so basically, they're not brainwashed by the liberal media, so therefore they're voting for Trump, right? These guys are just admitting the quiet part out loud, right? Well, they don't sit down and watch television every night and listen to our propaganda, our Trump derangement. They just vote based off how they're feeling, right? How they're actually doing, like reality. And when you vote based off reality, you vote for Trump. Again, it's amazing how that works, right? It's amazing, right? These people are shocked that voters are voting based off how they actually feel. Now, again, if you vote based off reality, that means you're low information. But if you vote based off propaganda, then that means that you're educated, okay? You're informed. Even though the candidate that they want you to vote for as an informed voter hasn't really informed people on what she believes, but apparently that means you're informed, okay, if you support Kamala Harris. Again, these people are clowns, man. They really are. They're elitists. They just showing you every day, just listen to them talk, that they're just out of touch. They know nothing about everyday normal Americans and what we're going through, what we're experiencing. And this is why they're so shocked. And they cope over the fact that when you talk to normal people, they're supporting Trump, right? They are supporting Trump. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.